My name is Özgür Altan. I live in New York, and I've founded a company helping limited partners. Those are the investors that invest actually into the funds. And that's basically what I've been doing for the past 10 years after the banking career. And moving from London to New York, set up this company to help investors find the right funds. However, I also do angel investing on the side with some other friends with a pool of money in Turkey, Europe, London, New York. And I've known Burak since 2009, since Itohum's early days. I was managing a fund of funds for European Investment Fund here in Turkey. And we invested under 60 million euros into 10 different funds, including Turkven and Aktera and Mediterra and several other funds. Back then, the ecosystem was quite weak. There wasn't much, well, there wasn't any venture capital funds apart from the two listed funds, Vakıf and which changed its name to REA, and İş Girişim. But in the past 10 years, and alongside Startup Turkey, the ecosystem in Turkey developed a lot. I've been to a lot of events. Recently I was at Startup Grind, TechCrunch events in the US. I attend some of them in London when I'm passing by. Startup Turkey, I think, is the event that I've been going for the longest. I think the first time I was there was around 2011-12. Back then it was in Antalya. It was a different kind of spirit. Everybody came along for a few days, and there was nothing else to do but network. It changed format a little bit over the years, and I've been on and off. The main reason is our contact with Itohum, Burak, and the whole ecosystem. I have links, as I said, going back 10 years to the Turkish ecosystem, and I know all the venture capital funds, all the private equity funds, their partners, and the other system participants. However, in the past 4 or 5 years, because there used to be only one accelerator back in 2009-10, Itohum, but I think now there are quite a few of them around. Now I lost track of who's who, but it's still great to come back, catch up, and understand and evaluate what's going on in the Turkish market. Because as you would know, despite Turkey's problems on the economic front and on the political front, the Turkish venture capital and startup ecosystem has grown rapidly. And there's been a lot of interest from our side. And that continues, maybe more spotty now. There used to be more interest from the likes of Sequoia, Tiger Capital, the big venture capitals of this world. But however, now mostly regional funds, although we lost Abraj, there are European regional funds still looking at Turkey. And there are some interesting stories, as we've seen today here. And Startup Turkey, over the years, that's another thing, has become quite international. It wasn't like this at the beginning. It was quite essentially Turkish. But Burak managed to make it the startup event of Middle East, and even now going to all Southeast Asia. And you can find quite interesting stories from Africa, from Indonesia, from Russia, Poland. So I think it is still the best startup event in Turkey. Well, I mean, nowadays there is this where tech is quite in fashion. There's always, I mean, anywhere you look at, you'll read about AI, IoT, robotics, autonomous driving, and there's a lot of money chasing these kind of fields. And I was just at Berkeley the other week for TechCrunch Robotics and AI event. And it was like a showcase of all these products that people are developing. And there's a lot going on there, and there's crazy amount of money being invested. It's in Silicon Valley, it's similar in New York, in London. I think people read a lot about these things on all kind of, I mean, magazines, newspapers, social media, or other news feed. And everybody wants to do something in this area, even though it's still early for most of it. However, when you see a flipping robot, I think it interests a lot of people. And that's kind of, I think, so especially if you're developing deep tech, machine learning, that interests more the bigger money, more experienced money, because they can really look into it and separate. For example, I'm now looking into an autonomous driving software company which originated from Turkey, but now based in Cambridge, UK. They're not here because I think they are past that stage, like a year ago. They had an investment from a seed fund, and now they're looking to go further. And there's a lot of money in autonomous driving as well. And whether we will see these, I mean, the end results in the next year or so, that's still to be seen. But I mean, the money invested in these areas is quite large. Well, I don't know yet if I'm going to be investing in any of the companies I've met since Saturday over here at Startup Turkey. However, there are some interesting prospects, and because this is a process, you meet them, you have a view about the company and its prospects. Also, you have this communication with the team. Then you have to look into deeper numbers in the background, do some checks, references, and only after that then you can maybe take a step forward. But there were at least 3 or 4 interesting prospects, and not all of them from Turkey. I mean, there was one very interesting from Singapore, there was one from Bangladesh, and a few from Turkey that we are going to be keeping in touch going forward. Women entrepreneurship is a hot topic globally. There are various programs, grant programs, government supports, or other charity programs to increase the number of women entrepreneurs in the US, in the UK. Today and on Saturday at Startup Turkey, we haven't seen many. I remember 2 or 3, mostly from Indonesia, if I'm not wrong. There wasn't much from Turkey. I only remember one company, but she wasn't the founder. I think she was the marketing and sales face. What can be done is, as I said, government support and programs, grants is one way to go. Second way is there was a startup, e-Girl Valley, if I'm not wrong, that was providing an app-based platform for female entrepreneurs to share their stories and support each other. Apparently there are 80 million women in Bangladesh, and they are expecting to have about 1 million female entrepreneurs. These numbers are staggering because I don't think we have 1 million female entrepreneurs in Turkey.